Hello, piglet. Are you muted? You're muted. I can't hear you. I cannot hear you. Now. No? Not yet. What's wrong with this? Hello? I cannot hear you. You have broken the mic with your nose. Nothing. What's wrong? Oh, of course. Piglets can talk. That's why I can't hear you. I can look at you, but I cannot hear you. Nice background. Ooh. Are you typing? Since you can't talk. Jairo. It says no. You're broken. All right, ears are off. Zoom. Resume. Okay, I'll leave and come back.
Hello?
All right, now we're talking business. How you doing, Piglet?
Oh, there's a version of me without the pig outfit.
It's not pig, it's Piglet.
The piglet.
Have you ever read The Tao of Pooh?
No.
Mm-hmm. There's a book titled the Tao of Pooh. So basically, it draws a parallel between Pooh's stories and character and all that, and the Tao, the teachings of the Tao.
Rami's in the house.
Hello. Good morning, Rami.
Good morning, Rami. And the little dove.
There is some echo.
Oh, I better turn off the audio on this one. There, how's that?
All right, Jairo.
I just wanted to touch base and then I'm off because I'm going to take my daughter to have her orthodonture removed. This morning's the time.
That's a
and
big
my wife's
day.
about to power off this machine because you know why. And anyway, the anyway, Tuesday the 16th will be. I'm running the state by you, Jairo. At 7 p.m. will be the second reading of Thomas Paine's Common Sense.
Common
Sense.
Ideas
of the British Constitution and so forth, whatever that first section.
16th.
Oh,
Mark your calendar.
Well, unless
No.
David says otherwise, but that's
What,
what I'm
is
going to go
that-
ahead and
is
set.
that Wednesday-
And with that, I
Wednesday?
bid you all a
No.
good morning.
Wednesday the 17th?
no.
Tuesday
You had
the
to
16th.
put it.
The 16th. Oh, okay. Add Thomas Paine to your calendar at 7 p.m.
There's no way I'm going to make it. Plus, we
Common,
don't want to upset anybody anyway.
common sense. Meet
The
up.
least common of all senses.
Oh, Thomas Paine. He must have been a pain in the butt.
All right. What are we talking about today? You
All
have to
right.
turn the piglet off. It's giving you, or you have it set up there. You're listening to yourself, and you get the reverb.
Oh,
Now, you fixed it.
oh. Yeah, I have
No.
to mute. Function mute.
Horrible.
No. Did I mute? Hello?
No.
Did I mute? I think.
It's a little bit better. Do you hear me?
Hello.
Oh, hello, Jairo and Piglet.
Rami had to go.
Yes.
Oh, yes. I find the topic that you're reading up on interesting. Of Vladimir Jankélévitch.
Jankélévitch, yes.
On, could it be titled, is angustia in English anguish?
Yes. Well, anxiety. That's the anxiety is the modern, well used concept of being paralyzed. Balled up in the fetus position in a corner because we're paralyzed. We're completely paralyzed at all levels.
Because
So
when I check the angustia in English, it comes up anguish.
anguish, angst, but it's the same root, the same word, anxiety.
Anxiety.
I mean, we could check the etymology of the word, but I suspect that it's all the same thing.
Uy, and anxiety in español is, anxiety en español. Español is
Ansiedad,
ansiedad.
angustia, yeah. But it's the same thing. But if I check the etymology of anguish in English, and I'm already suspecting he's going to say something that's very tight. Look at this. This is very beautiful. Listen to this. Anguish in Etym Online. Anguish, 1200, circa 1200. Acute bodily or mental suffering from Old French angoisse, choking sensation, distress, anxiety, rage. 12th century, from Latin angustia, plural angustiae, tightness, straightness, narrowness. Figuratively, distress, difficulty, from anguere, to throttle, to bottle down, to torment. So it's all the same thing. A suffering by tightness,
I would say
rigidity, compression.
It's rougher than anxiety. Seems like,
Well, if I check
choking.
anxiety versus anguish, well, they already mentioned the word anxiety in the etymology of anguish, but I'm gonna
Oh, Betty, anguish as a choking sensation.
So now anxiety brings me to, this is a more modern version. We go from the 1200s to the 1520s. Apprehension caused by danger, misfortune, or error, uneasiness of mind respecting some uncertainty, a restless dread of some evil, which is what this guy talks about, that anxiety is a fear about something, about nothing, because we don't have a real threat. It, I always talk about paper tiger versus real tiger. Or anxiety is the fear of no tiger, paper or real. So it's a dread about nothing. From Latin anxietatem, anguish, anxiety, solicitude. Noun of quality from anxious, uneasy, troubled in mind, which takes you back to taraxia. Troubled mind is taraxia. Ataraxia is non-troubled mind. So ataraxia, you would say, is the dispelling of anxiety, whether it is anxiety, anxiousness, angst, anguish, suffering, conflict, decoherence, disharmony, etc., etc. At the the whole spectrum of dukkha, which it could be a small uneasiness, a headache, an apprehension, all the way to a formidable fear of that has no object to fear. That's the if in a sense the human being is most at the mercy of him or herself in its own anxiety because it doesn't have any object. And Alan Watts says beautifully the fact that the mind is its own trap. Well, you could say that the mind is its own anxiety. So if you're anxious, look at yourself, know yourself. Always tying into to the self with a big S.
Look, I looked up anxiety versus anxiousness. Anxiety versus anxiousness. Oh, David Norton is knocking on the door.
Someone's knocking at the door. Someone's ringing the bell. Open the door. Let him in. Good morning, David.
David. Oink, oink.
I think David must be
I gotta
muted.
punch all the buttons right to get in first. Until you see me, I'm not here.
Good morning, David.
Good morning, David.
Happy Saturday.
Well, good morning, you guys too. What are you, a pig today, Jairo, or what's going on with that?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes, I eat everything.
Oh, is that right? So you're not kosher anyway, huh? So what's happening today, guys?
Well, I was asking Jairo that same question. What are we talking about today? Everything, nothing, or anything in between? And
we were looking at anxiety versus anxiousness. Like, is there a difference?
I shared a video from a French philosopher that I had no idea he existed, and I saw one of these lectures as a teacher. He was a philosophy teacher, and it just grabbed me because he was talking about anxiety, and of course, 2021, COVID, conspiracy theories, the political strife here in the States, et cetera, et cetera. Everybody's very, very anxious, especially, with the closing of many businesses. People don't have any money. People can't pay their rent. I mean, if we've ever seen anxiety in the street or online, it's now. Much worse probably than the anxiety we suffered in, when we were bombed in because it was a real threat. So we went about and we went out there and we kicked some ass somewhere. Probably was the wrong ass. It doesn't matter, but we kicked ass anyway. So we felt good about that. Then we just kind of rebuilt after that trauma. We showed resilience, but the 21st century, still young but not that young because we're already almost a quarter into it, is showing us a lot of reasons or no reasons, because some people say no, things are not as bad as we think. COVID is not killing anybody, or it's killing only the old folks, or whatever. So this is the subject of conversation. Human anxiety. What is it about? How to dice it? How to study it? How to analyze it? I think it's well worth talking about that, because we all human beings, in a sense, we are subject to worry, fear, angst, anxiety, and eventually after we completely run out of energy to worry, depression. That's when we say, okay, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. So, lay down and take it. So this guy, Vladimir Jankélévitch, in French, unfortunately, and most people don't speak the language, so it's difficult to go to the source. I listened to him, and I was just, he swept me on my feet, because he brilliantly analyzes and breaks down the difference between worrying, stressing, and then anxiety. So he kind of goes through the whole spectrum of human suffering, from worrying about the very specific threats, which is that's what we're made for, the flight or fight response, to the ultimate metaphysical, incomprehensible, in a sense, anxiety of just being.
Well, let me say something regarding that, Luis. Anxiety to me is very simple. Anxiety comes from fear. If people don't have fear, then they're not anxious about it, And the thing is, now we take and talk about conspiracy theories. A conspiracy theory is something that people take and are fearful of because they really don't believe what they're seeing. And they call other people that may believe in something that they don't believe in a conspiracy. So the thing is, the real reality of anxiety falls into the position of truth. If a person believes something in their own heart and they know it's for fact within inside of them, and they make a decision on it, they have no anxiety. But the person that does not believe, that has skepticism or criticism about the truth that's being said, is filled with anxiety because they don't know. They want to know what the truth really is, but they can't see that truth. So, you have a difference. To me, it's more in perception than anything else. When I was a young kid, for example, I grew up on a farm in the upstairs, and my uncle and aunt lived on the bottom. And there was me and my brother and sister, and I had another younger brother too. And when we were really young, for some reason, I was scared to go to the bathroom. So what would happen is, while we were watching TV, and if I had to go to the bathroom, I'd say, man, somebody got to go with me because it's dark down that hall, and I need some security. My brother Jim was always appointed to take me and walk me to the bathroom, And at a very young age, I was very fearful of just going into the dark, period. But the thing is, with Jim there, it made it a calming experience. you know. And the thing is, throughout life, what that has taught me is that in order to overcome fear, you really need to see the truth, whether you're in darkness or whatever may be there. And the thing is, everybody's truths are different. So therefore, what may be anxious to someone else, it may not be anxious to me because I feel content in where I am, and vice versa as well. So that's the way that I look at anxiety.
No doubt that reality looks at itself through each individual consciousness, and because each consciousness is individual, looking at the whole, it follows that each one sees reality in a certain way. What is scary to me is not scary to you. So it is important, in a sense, to know what I individually feel, what I know, what I don't know, what I believe I know or I don't know, what I believe without knowing, that's a dangerous thing. If I believe in something and I don't know, but I just say I just believe it, so whatever. That's a dangerous path, because it's a limiting thing. What is not limiting is precisely this epoche that the Stoics talk about, the Pyrrhonists talk about, which is, well, I don't know, so I reserve judgment. That means I don't believe either for or against or otherwise, and I'm going to keep studying this matter until I get to the skinny of it, and then I can make my decision much more informed regarding something. Also, I think it's very important not to be dogmatic about what we believe or we don't believe, what we think we know or we don't know.
What's dogmatic?
Dogmatic means that that's the way it is, and it's not subject to discussion. Like Rami wrote down the other day, the idea of God is not up for discussion. Everything is up for discussion, even the idea of discussing about, the discussion of God.
Well, the thing is, I didn't hear Rami say that, God is not up for discussion, because the thing is, everybody's perception of God is different,
But
whether you believe in it or
But-
not.
Yeah, well, that's what he wrote. And to me, when somebody says this is not up for discussion, it's like a guy that says to the staff, this spot right here is for me, and that's not up for discussion.
Yeah, well,
Either you take it or you leave it. But
unfortunately, one thing I have to say regarding that is, the thing is, unfortunately, theology, we're born into a Christian country here. And the thing is, Christianity has what I call literalized, its doctrine. And the thing is, when literalization takes place, the thing is, you can only understand it as a critic.
right.
So that means that whatever is said, you either have to accept or say it's accept or don't accept it, one of the two things.
But
the
we
thing
should
is,
discuss that's precisely my point, that any point should be discussed, talked about. We can, throw ideas. We can look at it from this perspective or the other perspective. And that's why I say it's difficult to literalize our understanding of reality or dogmatize it, because at the moment that we just get like this and we do not accept a dialogue, somebody else going like, I'm not sure that what you're saying is, completely accurate, then we lost the game. So basically, the human consciousness is a constant dialogue with reality. You never get to the ultimate truth. There's always
well, that's the way it is, and that's the way it should be. When you
Right.
say a dialogue, and the thing is, it not only needs to be a dialogue, but the thing is, you take two words, and the thing is, I think all communications fall in one or the other, and one is either cynical or critical. Okay, when people take and become critical of something, that means that they've accepted things to be true, and they're critical of anybody else that doesn't believe in the same
Right.
literal understanding as themselves.
You're for me or against me, right?
That's it. You're either
We
for
don't
me or
talk
against
about
me.
the subject. We don't talk about the idea itself that that is in discussion. It's like, no, you are against me because I don't agree with you. But we don't talk about the subject. It's like
but
in politics. We
that's the
talk about
spirit
the
of-
other guy, but we
that's
don't
a-
talk about the politics.
Right, that's the spirit of communication is what I call it, one of them. And the other one is being cynical. Now, when the thing is, when people are cynical, that means that they're looking at subjects and topics and everything and saying, I want to learn about this. Okay, so what a cynical person will do is they will take and create questions to take and dive into the understanding of whatever the issue or the event may be. And so you have these two different dimensions that people use in order to digest communications and events and things that are in their lives, you know. But unfortunately, when we become too heavy into one or the other, if we're too critical, then we can't see beyond ourselves. If we become too cynical, then what happens is we ask so many questions, we really don't know what we believe. That happens too. But the only thing is, there's a happy median in there where you can take and actually relate to reality. You know, I was just going over this again. I go back to this teaching that Jesus Christ gave in the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, which is not commonly accepted. It's not accepted at all. Where Peter takes and he asks Jesus, he says, what is the greatest sin of them all? And Jesus responded to him in this passage saying that there is no sin, that you make the sin in your own lives by what you say and what you do. Now, if somebody could take and use that and bring it down to its very simplicity, it would really take and make it so that the sin that's in each one of our lives, in our perceptions, are things that we create by ourselves. And they're really sort of a narrative. You might call them a false narrative that we believe. But the thing is, it's something that is untrue that we create. But we're born into a world of these kind of idealisms of religion, taking and saying, hey, you know, this is the way it is. This is the critical thinking of religion, without taking and delving into the cynical portion of religion. Because the thing is, when you look at the teachings of Jesus Christ alone, Jesus was a cynic like none other. Because the thing is, he asked questions and others asked questions of him and he answered them, you know. And the thing is, to me, he was just a format maybe of, you might call Socrates, one who was also doing the same thing. But the only thing is, Jesus was dealing with issues of life and how people fit into life. And, you know, understanding it through a question and through an event and through an experience of a word brings a person to reality like nothing else ever could. So
when we talk about you know, a sin or you know, sinning, I discovered one of the first things that I read when I started asking questions outside of the conventional realm. I started just going out there trying to find out what the hell was going on in my mind and in the world. I discovered one sutra that completely freed me. And I didn't discover it by myself. I found a book that was comparing religions. They mentioned the Buddhism, and they mentioned that sutra over there. And the guy prefaces the study on Buddhism by saying this guy was a revolutionary, was a libertarian in a sense, and this is what he said. And he points to the sutra, which I read afterward, and it became my model.
What is it?
And it says here, it's called the Kalama Sutra, which is the sutra to the Kalamas. An exhortation from the Buddha to a group of people, and they were called the Kalamas. It must be their village, the name of their village. And he says, you know, blah blah blah. He says, hey, you know, yeah, you're not sure what to do or what not to do. So, you know, sin is about what should I do, what should I not do, etc., etc. And he says here,
because they had a lot of people foreign people coming to their town and trying to set up as gurus or teachers, and they would have different points of view, so they were getting confused of who to follow.
Well, just like we don't know in our life, what should I do? Is this sinful? Is this right? Is this wrong? Is this ethical, unethical, etc., etc. We're always confronted to every decision of ours is possibly a good or a bad decision based on whatever we do and our intentions. And this is what he has to say about that when in doubt. Well, now don't go by reports, by legends, by traditions, by scripture, by logical conjecture, by inference, by analogies, by agreement through pondering views, by probability, or by the thought that this contemplative, this teacher is my teacher. He's the one who's right. When you know, this is where it gets really beautiful. When you know for yourself, when you know for yourself, by yourself, that these qualities are skillful, these qualities are blameless, these qualities are praised by the wise, these qualities, when adopted and carried out, lead to welfare and to happiness, then you should enter and remain in them. So basically, what he's saying is that when you think, when you intend by doing or not doing, you have to ask yourself this question: do I know? Do I decide that this is ethical, unethical? This is going to be bringing more happiness, creativity, and understanding and humanism around me, inside me, etc., or not? So I become the master and commander. I decide I have to study, and that's why it brings back my gaze towards myself and going like, okay, I need to know my stuff, because nobody's going to tell me, or nobody should tell me what I must do or not, because it's up to me at the end. I become the Jesus figure, and I decide if I'm Jesus or I'm Mephistopheles.
Yeah, okay. You know, the thing is, when you listen to people, even listening to me, sometimes I misreport things, but I have the understanding of the content within inside of my own mind.
Mhm.
And the thing is, to me, I now take and look at things in relationship to nature more than anything else. And when I say nature, I talk and think about the simplicity of things. You know, just like now in our society, they're trying to say that a man is a woman and a woman is a man, and make this a legal proceeding or something that exists and teach it in schools, of which it is being done. But by nature itself, a man can't be a woman and a woman cannot be a man. They have not gone with science to that point as of yet. So to me, it's very clear that even though people may have desires to be that way, that actual thing is impossible to do, period. You know, and that's made up in my own mind. Now, if somebody else wants to believe something else about it, that's their own business as to the way that they look at the nature of the world. But just as I said before, I sort of misquoted Jesus. Let me read it directly from what was written. It says, you know, when Peter asked, he says, since you have explained everything to us, tell us, what is the sin of the world? And Jesus said to Peter, there is no sin. You make sin when you say or do things that commit adultery against nature. This is sin. Well, the thing is that there's absolutely true. And that's exactly what happens when people begin to think, this is my opinion only. Okay, people are entitled to their own idealisms and understanding of this. But when people think that there's something that they're not, okay, to me, this is their problem, not mine, because I know that if a man is a man and a woman is a woman, period, because that's nature in itself. And there's many things that are there within the nature of human beings, like anxiety. To me, anxiety is very much and very real, a thing of nature of all human beings. It's something that we all have. And I believe that anxiety is driven by the same force as well. To me, it's driven by fear, because when people are fearful, they are anxious about something. And no matter what we may say that we can overcome anxiety, the reality of it is we really cannot, because things that we are sitting in the middle and haven't experienced as of yet, we become anxious for. Whether you're a public speaker, or you're going to speak publicly and you never have, or whatever you may be doing, okay, there's anxiety there because there's fear there because you've never done it. But once you've experienced that particular event in life, then that there removes the anxiety. You've lived it. It's been part of you. It becomes, you know, part of your nature. And these are natures of, you know, some people refer to it as God. Some people refer to it just as nature, some of the universe. I mean, whatever you may want to throw a name on it, it has to have a name, period, you know, an identity. Because without identity, we really have no understanding of anything.
This gentleman talks about anxiety, and one of he makes a distinction between, again, being worried about things, so threats, you know, things that we can look at and go, oops, this is hot. If I touch it, it's going to burn me, so I'm going to keep my finger away from it. This guy looks shady in the street at 2 o'clock in the morning, so I'm going to walk the other way. You know, just threats that we can see.
Yeah, but we
touch
all
or
don't have
feel.
the same threats, though. What may be shady to one-
Right. I mean, but basically, that is true. Just like we all see things differently. So what seems like a threat to me may not be a threat to somebody else. But just the same, what he's analyzing is not that peculiar way of seeing things, but making a distinction between being worried about a threat that we can touch, feel, measure, or know. We can look at it. We know exactly what we're afraid of. And then on the opposite end is the anxiety of where we don't know what we're afraid of. Do you conceive that can happen? The people that are anxious, you look at them and you go, "What the hell is wrong with you? What? I'm paralyzed. I just don't know." And that exists.
Yeah, it sure does exist. But the thing is, that all exists because of people, you know, not experiencing life as, you know, perhaps as they should. You know, just like now, there's, you know, since technology has come about, I see it, you know, when I pick up young people and they have young children, first thing they do is put like an electronic device in their child's hands, something that they take and they start to play with, they learn with. And the thing is, they're missing out on the personal reaction of the adult in the room. And the thing is, they grew up being navigated by the games that they love and the things that they desire. And the thing is, then there's a whole part of their life that gets sort of left out that's really part of nature.
But it's not their fault, is it?
No, I'm not saying it's their fault. Not their fault at all. The thing is, it's what happens with societies as, you know, as we come into them. You know, nobody, you know, when you're born into a society today is very different than being born into a society when I was born 75 years ago.
So in a sense, you're explaining how some people could think or feel that it's okay to be a girl when you're born a boy.
Yeah, well, it is okay for them to think because that's what they're taught. And the same as this idealism of now of white supremacy, you know, and what white superiority. But the thing is, in the content of those words alone is creates segregation. It creates all kinds of things that are really bad that our society is trying to avoid. So, you know, the thing is, we cannot repair what was before us, the things that happened. But what we can do is recognize the things that happened before us and their impact upon our lives and how they take and either destroy or they help our lives. And that there is the key.
So you are pointing back at the individual.
What?
And I agree with you. You're pointing back at the individual, looking like
The individual is the only one that can make change in their life.
There you go.
The thing is that that change must be in order to have find out the reality or the truth of everything has to be compared to nature and the nature's events, period. And if you don't do that, then it's being compared to a narrative. And
I don't disagree with you. Yeah.
Fall.
I don't disagree with you. There's a measuring stick. There's a measuring stick, which is nature, reality as it is.
Right.
That's the measuring stick. Now,
yes,
the measuring stick, if you look at nature pre-man or nature, 2,000 years ago.
I can't look at nature pre-man because the thing is, I wasn't here. I can only look at nature in the way that have learned and experienced nature. You know, thing is, there's all kinds of things, huh?
You cannot envision nature before the onset of self-consciousness?
Well, the only thing is, the way I look at it is the sky was here long before I came about. This earth was here long before I can ever remember. The only thing is, I know that it was given a name to identify so that people could take and communicate with these names with one another to take and try to understand the nature that existed. You know, the thing is how this world came about. You know, it's real easy to take and say, well, it was a big bang and that's how we ended up here, or God created this and God created that. If you look at the simplicity of it, okay, the thing is it becomes a literal understanding. And that's just what we were talking about before. And when it becomes that, then the thing is we are confined to that particular belief as to whatever we believe that nature, however, was created. But myself, I don't allow that to exist because of the fact that I am here now and I am learning now about what is. And the thing is, how long and how many years the Earth has been in rotation around the sun, I have no idea. I know there's theories that they can take and calculate it through math. And one thing I heard this past week, that everything boils down to mathematics, which may be true, you know. And just the thing is, one of the disciples of Jesus Christ, his name is Matthew, of which the foundation for the word math comes from, you know. So, you know, once again, you got a disciple of Jesus Christ. So
just because they sound the same doesn't mean that they have the same etymology, Matthew and math.
Well, the thing is, if you really take and look at the substance of the word itself and search its etymology or whatever, okay, I think you're going to find very much similarities to calculations and things. Because the thing is, even in the identity of Matthew, what was he? A tax collector. What does a tax collector do? All about numbers. Okay. So the thing is, when you're,
it could be a pure coincidence.
yeah, well, you can call it that, but the thing is, I believe things go beyond that because of the fact that people are named according to their, supposed to be named according to their kind of what they represent. Okay, and I think that there is where the spiritual things of nature come into existence that a lot of people are unwilling to accept. But the thing is, it's a foundational way that people, you create words to identify the world that we live in.
So if you want to change your life, does it follow that one must change one's name and that would cause a change in one's life?
No, not necessarily, because the thing is, a person's name is something that, you know, people are given for many, many different reasons. But the thing is, behind the name, there's a story. And if you can find a substantive story of origination, the thing is, you get much closer to identifying, okay, what the event of the name actually means. You know, just like the word Adam, okay? The thing is, people associate that to the first man that ever lived on the earth. But the thing is, when you take it back into the Hebrew and define Adam, what he's talking about is mankind. That means all people, not just one person. So the thing is, how does that change the story inside of the story of the Genesis and the creation story? It changes it tremendously, you know? So the thing is, when you take and find out the source of these different words and apply them, even in Buddhism, I don't care what language you're dealing with, they all have a source and they have an understanding at that. But the thing is, we're here along like, what, 5,000 years past when maybe 6,000, 7,000, 8,000 years before they came up with structured language. And we're trying to take and understand something that is that old, but yet the context of what the meaning is still there. But we've distorted it so badly. We have totally different meanings for it. You know, just like you take the word hell. In the Bible, they have two different definitions. Which one is true?
Understood. Understood. Joel, it's your time to be welcomed with
welcome, Joel. What? How's
kisses
the
and
weather?
hugs.
How's the weather in Toronto?
Toronto is cold.
Feedback. Maybe you have
the weather in Florida.
It's cold. It's like 60 degrees. Can you believe it?
I am frozen.
I can't go outside.
Don't tell me that. You're pissing me off.
You pussies.
I try to go outside to get exercise, but it's too cold. No, actually, I went outside yesterday a little bit to pick up my car. Now I got a car.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
How's
feedback.
that? Still,
Yeah.
still echoing? Now I can't hear
Oh,
anything.
now it's better.
Oh, I
Yeah,
know
you're-
why.
I'm freezing your sound. That's perfect.
Okay, now it's working. Can
Oh,
I?
you have to turn off
Can you
your
hear me now?
cameras. You turned off your camera's audio or microphone and turned on Darwin's microphone.
Right.
Welcome, Joel. Good to see you.
To see you, Joe. Hey, Jairo, how are you doing? I mean, what's your status now? I see you still doing the oxygen. Are you getting better? What's happening with you?
Getting better, and I got a call from a nurse under a doctor that's supposed to be weaning me off the oxygen, and she and I talked to her and told her my condition, and she determined that it seems like it's safe for me to get off oxygen, but I like it anyway. But I keep using it.
You like the high, huh?
We're all
Makes me think clearer.
we are all addicted to oxygen.
Yeah, right. In some way or one way or another.
Somewhere.
You know, when I
another,
used to
yes.
work for United Airlines, I remember, I used to hear these stories about pilots would end up, they go out and get drunk and everything, and then they go back and get on the airplane. But as soon as they took the oxygen and took in the oxygen,
it
for
was
some
all
reason,
good.
it made them sober.
They tell me that in the Vegas.
Wow, I got 98% oxygen.
In the
good.
casinos, in Vegas, in the betting rooms and all the where the roulettes are and all that, they pump oxygen to get people hyped up, so they spend more
Could be.
money.
Oh,
I've
wow.
heard that. I don't know if it's true. Okay, the discussion for today, Joel.
Oh,
the
it's
distinction
backwards.
the
Where-
distinction between stress, worrying about things, stressing about life, and existential anxiety.
I would rather discuss the oxygen saturation in our respective blood, because I don't 98's pretty good. I don't know if I'm up to 98. Is that a separate oxygen saturation meter you have there, Jairo?
Yeah.
This is an oximeter. I put it
Yeah.
on the finger and it reads the oxygen. Now I take the oxygen line off from the oxygen concentrator, and I
Right.
wait a few minutes and see how it is. See if my lungs can take oxygen without the need for extra oxygen.
That's a
If it-
scientific method.
If it's 94, 94 is the borderline, like 93 is not good.
Wait a second. Only 1 point that makes a difference. So if you're 93, you're no good. 94, you're good.
Well,
Yeah,
it's-
it's the borderline.
it's not good. It's not an exact thing, but it's better. They is a threshold.
Well, when I was at around 88, then I would get pretty weak and about to faint. That's what I was when I got to the hospital. I was about to faint to the emergency room.
Jairo, how many days did you spend in the hospital?
10 days.
You were there for a while, huh?
With the first 5 days was remdesivir, what Trump got, remdesivir.
Yeah, my wife got the same
So-
thing.
So it must be pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say
Pretty good.
it worked,
hospital.
right?
Yes, that quieted down the coronavirus. But then they had to work on my lungs, so they gave me some steroids, and to suck on this
So,
thing.
hey, let me ask you another question here. The thing is, when you went to the hospital, I mean, you were obviously living at your house too, right? Before you went to the hospital. So you had to be
Yes.
infected while you were at home. Did any other members of your household come down with the coronavirus?
Yes, my mother, who's 98 years old, and
Uh-huh.
and her caregiver, who's around 40 something years old, and
Uh-huh.
but their symptoms were mild and they overcame it. So they would have a better immune system than I do.
I see.
Well, it doesn't necessarily mean that, Cairo. It could be that you,
Or maybe I gave them a little dose and I had most of the dose in here,
right,
and it got into my lungs.
yeah, that might be, and do you have any idea where you might have contracted it?
Yes, there's a possibility that when I went to a bar to sing karaoke, but I was very careful and I stayed away. I had my mask on, and I said by myself, maybe a little interaction to buy a drink, and that's about it. And then I went and sang my song, and the microphone had a cover over it.
So what song did you sing?
A song. I recorded it and put it on YouTube. Some old song from the 1940s. I think it was. I forget the name. Yeah, like a jazz song.
Oh,
Forget what it was.
I see.
But also that was on the 28th. But on the 25th, I went to the Christmas party. But I was wearing a mask. Everybody was, well, there was some dancing. Like there was a little buffet dinner, and then people got up and danced to salsa music. That was the 24th, because Latinos like to party before Christmas and open gifts at midnight. Or I could have picked it, but I started feeling the symptoms around the 1st of January, and I thought it was a cold. But it had a lot of coughing that wouldn't go away. So I decided to make an appointment to see the doctor, see if he could give me an antibiotic to kill the coughing. But when they saw me, they said, "Oh man, it's more than a cold." And they took my chest X-ray and they saw I had pneumonia. So they were pretty sure by then that I had COVID-19. But they also took the test, but that wouldn't be in until a few days later. But then they went ahead and treated me for COVID-19 because my lungs were pretty bad. Oh. So what do you think, Darwin?
Well, I'm keeping my mask on around you. I don't think you're being careful enough. So now I'm a little bit concerned, Cairo. I think that you've been a little naughty. I'm glad that it worked out all right. You shouldn't have been going to that karaoke bar. You shouldn't have been going.
And I shouldn't. I should have been sleeping regular hours.
Well, that too, but
I was.
I don't know if you guys heard, but Canada has closed all its ports to cruise vessels for the next year.
The whole year?
The whole
Holy
year.
shit.
Holy shit, yeah. What does that tell you? They think this is pretty serious, and they think this is going to go on for quite a while.
That means cruise vessels like going to the Bahamas kind of cruise?
Yeah.
Like Prince Royal kind of things?
Yeah.
So it ruined your vacation to the Bahamas?
It didn't affect me at all. I'm just looking at it from what it says about what the expectations for how infectious this is going to be and how long it's going to continue for. So it really, and these are huge industries in the both coasts of Canada.
But if you guys don't get infected, you'll never get immune to it with a herd immunity. So it's kind of good to get infected, right? Well, they say it only gives me 90 days of immunity, but I could still get it. But maybe with my body will recognize it and deal with it better. And if
The point I'm trying to make,
kind of vaccinated.
yeah, the point I'm trying to make is that people in the know, which would be the higher ups in government and in the health department, have looked at this thing and said there's several new variants of this thing, and we don't want them in the country. And one of the ways, and it's a huge expense, there's apparently 500,000 people get off these ships on each coast every year or more, and there's whole industries that depend on them. And they say as much revenue as we lose from that doesn't compare to how serious this is. So no cruise ships are going to be landing on Canadian ports until June of 2022. And how serious that is? So I think it's time to start paying attention. Unless you think that everybody in government and
that's not what our state government, our state governor,
everybody who studies these things are wacky, then you better think that they're serious.
In Florida, it's economy first and health second.
Yeah.
So keep everything open.
Well, that may very well be their attitude, but I think it's going to be pretty scary. And I just heard about a cousin of mine in England. His whole family is sick. Two young kids, his wife and himself. And he's apparently very ill. I don't know exactly what. He's in his 40s.
Joel, what is your view in this dipole of economy, health? So let's shut down and save lives. I don't know, or
I don't know. Maybe in Canada,
just let this run its course, like I don't know, any other pandemic, and somehow put on the floor the idea of the needs of the many outweigh the means of the few, or not. What is your opinion about this?
Well, I'm not sure it's that simple a thing, but I'm sure of one thing. I would like to stay alive, and I think that most people would like to stay alive as well. So I think they should have the opportunity to stay alive. And the money that is being spent now, and David can tell me better whether this is an appropriate analogy or not. When Joseph came to advise the pharaohs of Egypt, and he had the dream of 7 lean cows and 7 fat cows, I'm probably not saying it correctly because I haven't been told that story for a very long time. He said, prepare for the 7 sickly looking cows.
Yeah.
And we've got the first year of the sickly looking cows, and we're using vaccine to hope that this doesn't go on for 7 years.
You preface your answer by saying people want to stay alive. They want to live.
Most people do.
Yes, and is there a point
I
where
certainly do?
Is there a point where an individual would say it's not worth anymore?
You'd have to ask an individual.
Yeah, right. I'm asking because this is kind of a forum for discussion, but I'd say I have said myself I would rather die quickly of COVID than to wither away under a bridge.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Does that make sense? Does that make any sense?
Does to me.
So my intuition tells me, hell, we're all going to die anyway. That is the lot of the human being. We know we're going to die anyway. We're probably the only animal that know we're going to die. But that notwithstanding, okay, we're going to die anyway. How do you want to die? Do you want to die quickly and swiftly, and leave room for somebody else while they're going on their business, the business of life, going to work, getting on cruises, buying and whatever, even if it doesn't have any sense ultimately, the hamster on the wheel? Or do you say no? Life is precious, almost sacred, and we're gonna shut everything down in order to sell lives, even if we all end up under a bridge trying to eat scraps.
Yeah, but one I think that's a good point, Luis, because the thing is, if when we're looking at life in our own life and wanting everybody to do according to what we believe, okay, then we're not living independently. We're not living a free life. We're living a life that's under the conditions of what the majority is, and that there is what communism, Marxism, and all these socialism programs are. There's absolutely no individualism there. And the thing is, there are many people that believe that, they'd rather be free and live an open life and go out and get the coronavirus, because basically the coronavirus itself is a flu type virus that's been around for thousands and thousands of years. It's just part of life and living life. So if they get it, they take the attitude, well, then it's my time to be gone. But then you have other people, I sort of say like Joel, that think that everybody should be protected through, I guess, government, because government is the form that's created all this hysteria to me regarding coronavirus. Because before this, we all lived sort of independently. Well, if we got the flu, we got the flu. There was never much attention paid to the amount of people that died from the flu. But actually more people, young people, died from the flu than died from the coronavirus. And now the thing is, they're pushing this thing that there's all these different strains, and they're going to take and try to lock down not only other countries, but also the world because of all these different strains. And they're merely different types of coronaviruses, which are common and been going on for years and years and years, maybe thousands of years.
Another question that I put on the table. This is, this Zoom things for me are about thinking outside the box, inside the box, outside the box, and on the edge of the box. If it's about saving lives, shouldn't we be doing the same thing regarding, for example, little kids dying in Africa or in India? Why are we stopping everything because of coronavirus in our backyard? But when it's not in my backyard, I don't give a hoot if 500,000 kids die of dysentery in India every Sunday morning. So those are questions that are worth asking, because I mean they're relevant, aren't they?
Right. Very much so. I mean, the thing is, every country has their own, conditions and their own problems, and that's just like I've seen statistics like in where was it, in Africa and also in India, where say the what do they call it, hydroxychloroquine is an over-the-counter type of pill, and the people take it because of the different viruses and different things that are in those countries, and they also find that at the same time that the amount of cases there and people that die from it are much less than anywhere else, So, I think you have to look at the numbers of different things that are happening. And for some reason, we're looking at a narrative of somebody's own opinion as to what they think, rather than looking at all of the things that are available regarding this particular event or topic.
I'm trying to make sense of this crisis, the COVID crisis, to make sense of the life crisis in all its sense. And maybe we can use this to think about solutions for the rest of humanity, for the rest of our history.
Well, the thing is, as far as I'm concerned, this thing with the coronavirus, and which is sort of documented, if people are willing to look at it, was created by the Chinese government in order to take and scare people, and to take, and what they did is they accused Donald Trump of being responsible for this whole thing. But Donald Trump has been responsible for everything that's ever wrong in our country for the past 4 years. And they've made him out.
David, allow me to interrupt you. I need to go. It's 8 o'clock, and today I really need to get going. So although I would love to hear the rest of the stuff and continue thinking outside the box on these issues, I am out of here, guys.
We'll
Always,
miss you.
always a
Thank
pleasure.
you, Luis.
All right, take care.
Thank you for.
Take care, Jairo. Take care, David and Joel.
Okay.
I gotta
We'll
get out of
continue
here.
to
So
explore
I'll
the
see you soon.
Au revoir, mon ami.
You look very nice.
COVID-19.
You look very nice with goatee and mustache.
Au revoir, mon ami.
Au revoir.
Go in peace. Go in peace, my friend.
Live long and prosper.
Live long. Nanu, nanu.
Nanu, nanu. Bye-bye.
Wow, that's a nice look.
I like that. I like that. I think I'm gonna go with that. It's the jazz musician in me. I just can't decide on what color beard.
Mm,
A little
Yeah.
darker, maybe. And if I should have a unibrow or not.
Well, folks, I think that I'm going to depart too. I just realized that in this conversation, I became censored. So there's no sense in me being part of this discussion any further today.
Oh, you've been
And I'm gonna
censored?
leave
How
y'all.
were how
and-
were you censored, David?
I was censored because Luis just all of a sudden got up and left when I
No,
started
he
talking
had
about a
to go.
particular topic. So
No, he had to go. It wasn't because of your of where you were going. He agreed with you mostly.
I didn't hear him. I didn't hear him say that at all. You know.
No, he's agreeing with you. I think he just wants to figure out how do we deal with that
Deal with what?
the COVID-19
And that was my point. Is the thing is the COVID-19 is a political tool that's been used on the American public and upon the world, okay, to accomplish political favors. That's it. It's really simple. And the thing is, right now, you take and look what happened to our elections in this country. Right now, anything about it is totally censored, where you have all kinds of evidence and things that, you know, prove that Joe Biden didn't win the election, period. And the thing is, they're using this case of not talking about it and not willing to look at what actually happened and censoring anybody that says anything about it, okay, to the point to where nobody learns anything about it. And that there is something that's very, very bad. It's happened in our society throughout time. It happens in the church. It happens everywhere. So the thing is, what happens is people end up only talking about what's acceptable in that community or whatever that they're in, rather than having the ability to take and look at what actually exists and is part of nature, you know? So to me, that's what I see. Even, you know, COVID. I mean, we talk about COVID and everything, but these here kinds of things have been around for a long time. When you look at the number, there's no more people dying this year or this past year than they did before, but yet it's a pandemic, a worldwide pandemic, which makes the whole thing a big old lie, you know, as far as I'm concerned. They have therapies for it, but people are that are running the narrative don't want to hear about the therapies. They don't want people cured. They want people to die. And the thing is, by taking and looking out for your own self in your own way of not wanting to die, you're doing exactly what they want you to do, because they want to take and crush our economy, crush the world economy, and make room for the big reset that's about to come. But yet nobody knows what that new monetary system is going to be. That's simple to me.
Well, wait a minute, David. Does that mean that you think my idea of wanting to live is wrongly held? I shouldn't want to live?
No, everybody wants to live, but the only thing is, are you going to making me responsible for your life, or are you going to take responsibility for it? That's the question.
Well, you know, I'm not following. I think the state of nature is I am sitting here in a chair in Toronto. I am not going out of my house any more than I absolutely have to, because I believe that that will keep me safer than going to sing karaoke, bring the infection back to my home. No names mentioned here, Jairo. I hope you're getting the inference here and bringing a small dose of the infection back to Neonita. And because I believe that will keep me safe.
So now, you believe the narrative is what you believe.
Well, I don't know.
Narrative of Dr. Fauci.
You're using the expression "the narrative."
Right.
but it's not your narrative.
No, it's not.
It's not my narrative.
Nope.
It is something in nature. It comes on the
No, it comes
television.
through it's the CDC and comes through Dr. Fauci.
Right. It comes through various sources and it spreads out like a virus. But
It is
it
a
doesn't,
virus.
but it doesn't cause me to have to wear oxygen like Jairo is. And that's I believe Jairo is real. I believe he's a real man sitting in front of a real computer and a cell phone, and that's a real plastic oxygen concentrator that he sticks in his nose. And I believe that that meter that he puts on his hand, it really measures something. By the way, what's the measurement now, Jairo? You've been off for about 10 minutes. I can't see it. You've got me pinned. Oh, okay, got to reply.
Oh, it's backwards? I have to
Yeah.
sort of. Ooh.
Oh, I got the wrong.
Mm.
96.
Oh, 96.
Not bad. So it's,
That's without oxygen.
yeah, but it's only been a few minutes. But still, that's good. At least it shows it's moving in the right direction.
I gotta do these exercises. Mm. Mm. I gotta suck air. Mm. See how high it can go. Inhale as much as hold it and exhale gradually. Yes. Oh, so David, yes, yes, they also say that 95% of the people who survive it are the young ones. So it's mostly the 5% that die or have difficulty are the older ones, or the ones that had previous conditions. So the COVID-19 makes it worse, or pushes them over the edge. So Darwin or Joel, but I can call you Joel. So maybe you have an anxiety over COVID-19, and you're anxious, and yes, like David says, you're operating on fear, and that keeps you at home too much from enjoying. Oh, you could die from lack of sunshine, couldn't you?
I could
Take
also
vitamin-
I could die
Take
from
vitamin 3,
lack
D3.
of adequate Darwin competition.
Yes, you could die from that too. So maybe we should play that sometime. And I don't know. Oh yes, David. Have you heard about this other treatment? Well, it hasn't been considered, but they've noticed that people.
Gotta get a coffee.
David, they've noticed that kids who have been vaccinated for the measles, mumps, and rubella, they call it MMR. The COVID-19 just blows over them. It doesn't affect them hardly. Yes, it's kind of like a vaccine. A vaccine for, or it works like a vaccine for COVID-19, kind of. Well, at least that's what they've determined, because all the kids that had that vaccine, it protected them from COVID-19. So they're considering it. Why not use it for adults? Like give them the vaccine, and that's readily available, and why not use that over an expensive Pfizer or Moderna or whatever vaccine that has to be kept refrigerated and all this, and you have to take it twice, separated by 3 or 4 weeks before it becomes effective. So that slows down the protection there. Like the first shot, it doesn't really do it much. It's the second shot, 3 or 4 weeks later, that makes it 95% effective. Well, it doesn't keep you from getting it, but it's effective in that your body knows what to look for and will help overcome and reduce the symptoms and everything.
Master,
have
you
you
know, Jairo, this whole thing is about massive amounts of money that are being channeled through political people, period. Because look at all the money that the number one, all the pharmaceutical companies have made just alone for, you know, doing the research and stuff on this. You know, then you take and you look at, on the other end, how much money all the hospitals have made. Every time they do a COVID test, okay, they get paid. Okay, every time somebody is diagnosed with it and is in the hospitals get paid. Every time somebody dies from COVID, okay, the hospitals get paid. You know how much money actually circulates from the federal government to the local hospitals, to the local doctors, and then back into the politicians' own coffers? I mean, they don't do statistics on that because the amount of money is tremendous. This whole thing is a political ruse as far as I'm concerned, because there are therapies, just like you suggested out there, but they don't want to know them because there's no money in them. And the thing is, there's no political favor in them. So the thing is that there is just this whole thing, as far as I'm concerned, nothing more than a narrative that's been created, an untruthful narrative too, to take and, number one, create anxiety within the population, which it's done. It does. I see people that are paranoid to go outside without a mask. I see people that, you know, are totally stuck in their house. They can't do anything. They can't think. And yet myself as a Lyft driver or Uber driver, I haul people around every day. I wonder how many of those people when I come in my car have COVID. You know, that's probably where I got it from to begin with, you know, with somebody that came into my car. There's no way that that service could ever exist with people that are afraid to take and be with other people. And there's a lot of other professions too, the same way. So the people that are afraid are stuck up in their own idealism, you know, being caught up in their own fear, living in their own world, unable to really live life, depending upon other people to provide all their cover and everything for them to take and live in their own world of wanting to live life while they're really stuck and they're not living life. You know, this is the way I look at this whole thing. I think it's a big old ruse, you know, and every day it seems to be proved further and further to be true because they don't want you to see the truth. You know, there's no doubt about that in my mind at all.
Oh, but David, you mentioned that COVID-19 was a flu type infection or virus. But I'll have to, I had to look up what is the difference between influenza flu and COVID-19. So they're both contagious and they affect the respiratory system, but they're caused by different viruses. And so COVID-19 is a new coronavirus. It's like the same thing as a cold kind of virus, or there's a coronavirus that causes the common cold, but this is a new coronavirus called SARS-CoV-2, and the flu is caused by an infection with the influenza virus. And the major difference is that the COVID-19 seems to spread more easily because you can't you can get it from people that don't think they have anything wrong with them. Maybe like I didn't think I had anything wrong with me, so I gave it to my mother and her caretaker. But maybe I gave him a little dose, that maybe just by speaking close to them, that it wasn't a bad enough dose that put him in the hospital like it did me.
Well, the thing is, like I say, Jairo, you know, to me, you know, it is a form of the flu, and the thing is, people had
No, I think you shouldn't call it a form of the flu because it's a lot different. And like one is by influenza, and this one is like a coronavirus, and then it spreads a lot more easily, and that's why they wanted
coronavirus is a flu. I mean, that's where that comes from. The only thing is they call it COVID-19 because that was the year that this was discovered.
I think they're different. and then
It is
there's the
different.
flu
Each
season.
coronavirus is different, Jairo. The SARS
And
virus, which is a coronavirus, is different. Okay, the
from a
swine
flu,
virus, which is a coronavirus, was different. All these,
flu,
they take and they
flu is the
mutate,
influenza.
and they create different things. I mean, that's the way it works. You
And
know,
then you have to also reevaluate the data that you've gotten, because I've seen charts. I could send you a video showing that the seasonal flu each year it goes up and down, and it goes up to a certain level. But then they compared it to coronavirus, like, and it's like coronavirus going like woo, it's like goes off the charts 10 times more than a regular seasonal flu. So that's a misleading information suggesting
well, it all
that
depends how you.
the
It all depends how
coronavirus
you.
is
It all
has
depends how
caused
you're
as many
looking at this. Because the thing is, right now, this past year, there's hardly been any kind of flu, people catching the flu at all. Nobody's really dying from the flu at all. You know, so the thing is, does that mean that the coronavirus is taking the place of the flu? You know, not only that, but the thing is, coronavirus affects people that are elderly. Most of the people more people die under 65 from the flu than have died from the coronavirus. I mean, a lot more. And the thing is, they don't even take all this stuff into consideration. Hey, I got to go. It's time for me to leave. So we'll see you all
Okay.
next week. Okay.
Thank you, David.
Bye,
Come
David.
back and join
Bye-bye.
us. Bye. Well, it's Joe and Jairo Jamyang Pawo.
Hi, Jairo Jamyang Pawo. It's the battle of the religions. It's Buddhism playing Judaism for the world championship of the Central Florida Philosophy Darwin Series. Brought to you live from Toronto, Canada. Are you ready? Are you ready, Master Jairo?
Yes, I'm ready. I've been listening to archaeologists, historians, unraveling the history of the ancient civilizations in the Middle East and in Iraq, to trying to figure out what created our civilization.
Well, wasn't it the reading of the Parsha of the week in the original language? It still goes on today.
Yes.
You want to hear that? A little bit of it. It takes 25 seconds.
Okay.
But it uses your senses, your hearing sense. I'll see if I can play it.
כל אשר עשה אלוהים למשה ולישראל עמו כי הוציא אדוני את ישראל ממצרים.
There you go.
I heard the word Elohim.
Yes. That was one of the words that was there. I can show you the text if you want to see it.
Okay.
Let me see if I can figure out how to do that. I have to go into Zoom. I have to share the screen. Which one is it? I think it's this one.
Oh yes, I see the text, and one should read it from right to left.
Exactly.
And it's
so this part in the light blue is what you were hearing. It's said in a specific, I guess it's called a chant or sounds with emphasis on different sounds, like a musical score. So this
this little symbol. Can you see my pointer?
Yes.
So that, I think, I'm not sure because I don't know all this stuff that well, but it means you put a certain emphasis, or it's like recited a little longer. Here, I'll just see if I can do that one word. So I couldn't stop it in time, but that was the first two words. Vayishma Yitro. Yitro is the biblical, I don't know if he's the father or grandfather of Moses from the Bible. It's what the English Bible translates into Jethro.
Wow.
And then let's see if I can do one word at a time. I don't know if I can stop this fast enough.
Or start from the beginning.
No, I went too far. I think this is Moshe. I think I went like 4 words there. Some parts of it are pronounced more quickly, and other parts, because of these symbols on top, someone who's trained in this knows how it's supposed, like a musician in a way, like someone who knows how to read music. So if you go to any synagogue around the world, that's what they'll be reading today.
Today is Sabbath day.
Right.
Hmm.
So they
It's
usually they read
It's
from,
the day of rest. So I shouldn't work.
well, it's prayer. I think there's an exemption for prayer, but I'm not sure. But that's not an obligation for you because you're not Jewish, or are you?
I think I'm going to become Seventh Day Adventist.
Yeah.
That way I can have Saturday as the day of rest, like the
Okay.
Jewish people. And then I'll have Sunday. So I'll have 2 days off. Oh, I have that anyway. Well, from regular work, but they still put me to work anyway on weekends.
What work do you do?
No, yes, I work. I get paid from the company that my brother started. They run a construction company, a subcontractor, and they look for big projects that involve large buildings. It could be resort hotels. It could be a Home Depot. It could be facilities for the government. And they mostly do the outside wall, and they cover it with like a synthetic stucco where they can spray it on or whatever. Well, they first cover it with some. They spread cement, and then they put a mesh and let it dry, and then I think they put a foam of about that thick, that thick of a foam. Then they put that cement after that. Yeah, they have to put insulation first, and then they covered the wall with cement and try to make waterproof. And then they kind of cover it with synthetic stucco they can spray on or something. Or sometimes they put it on with trowels and hooks and trowels. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty labor intensive, but yeah, and technical too. Yeah.
I'm really glad to see that you're getting better. Your oxygen sat is up, and you're doing well. It looks like you look better too.
Yes. So yesterday they picked my mother's caretaker picked me up and took me to my real home, because this is not my real home. This is like a spare room in my brother's house. And so they took me to my real bedroom, and I picked up some of my goodies, like this laptop,
Oh,
and some other tools I needed to fix some computers. So I'm gonna. Oh, and I ordered discs for 2 laptops. So I'm gonna do some repair, try to do some repairs of laptops or improvements on them.
good.
So I brought well, I have 1, 2.
You got something to keep you busy.
I got at least 3 laptops and a CD player to fix. A CD player, the top that opens up to put the CD in, like a Sony CD boom box. So
Yeah.
You press the button and it opens, and it's kind of I got to invent something to make it not be so loose, because it broke the hinges. So I'm gonna come up with something to make it nice and smooth. And then I can turn it into the customer, and maybe he'll pay me $50 or something. I don't know. We'll see.
Just gonna get my coffee.
You're gonna get your coffee. Okay. Yeah, my neighbor CD player. It's a Sony CD boombox. It's pretty good. Well, it's probably pretty old, from the 90s, I guess. The way I fixed it is, actually, I went into eBay and bought one just like it for a total of $30. And that fixed the problem that it had, except the one I bought has a new problem, is the top doesn't open smoothly. I kind of got it to fix so it's okay, but I'd like to make it secure so that it doesn't wiggle around and then fall apart. Yeah, that's my project. That if I can get done in a few days, then I can turn it in to my customer, a neighbor. Then he'll be happy and maybe pay me, I don't know, $50, $60, $70. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, Joe, that's interesting. The chant, the prayer.
Yeah, it's a tradition that they've been following, as you know, for I don't know how long, thousands of years, hundreds of years, and it's basically the reading of the Torah scrolls from beginning to end on an annual or a triannual cycle.
Mm.
So that portion that we just heard, and a little bit more, I think,
is where the whole Jewish community is at this time, or it varies?
It would vary slightly depending on which cycle they're at, because some of them do.
That's where your local one is at this moment. Maybe?
I don't know. I don't have a look, but I'm pretty sure. Yes, that would be. So if you
we're at.
Yeah, what part of the Torah they're reading this particular Sabbath? That would be pretty close to it, if not the exact spot. Although maybe I was researching that a week ago, so maybe I'm
in the script is read from right to left, and then it's an alphabetical, but then it's probably all consonants, so you have to guess at the vowel sound generated from that consonant afterwards, like if it's ba or b or be.
Well, I don't know if it's guessed or people are familiar enough with.
Or maybe they put a little symbol near it.
Yeah, there are vowel symbols, I think, and then there are other symbols. I've forgotten what they're called, but they would. Let's see if I can find it again.
And there's spacing between them. Does that mean that separates the words.
Hold on. Oh, I got the wrong one. Hold on. We don't need that one. Hold on. I can't find the right one. Let me see. It was there. I had it a minute ago. Oh, here, I think this might be it. Yeah, okay. So I'm not exactly sure, but I think, for instance, if you see this word here and this word here would be the same word. One of them has the vowel symbols, like the little dots, 2 dots vertical and 1 line horizontal. And this one doesn't have that. I believe, but it's been a very long time since I knew any of these things, that this one here is the way it would actually appear in a Torah scroll. And this is like an aid to,
Like a cheat sheet for us dummies to know how to pronounce it. Well, vowel wise.
maybe. I don't know if I'd call it a cheat sheet for dummies, but it's just, I guess probably over the centuries, it made it more specific and less ambiguous, because different people would have different voices and maybe different accents.
Mm.
So that could cause, to prevent, to keep it more standardized, I guess you might say.
So that is so the lower one is the one that appears on the scrolls or whatever.
Yeah, that's what
And
I
that's the
believe is-
one that's being used, and then the one on top is probably a clarification for which way to go with the vowel mostly. I
think
would
so.
say.
That would be my understanding, but Jairo, as I caution you, because I'm not so sure that my understanding is a correct understanding. So if you met somebody who, was more learned in the traditions, they might have something more to say about it or something better to say about it. But that's generally my understanding, just as you've said it, because I think these are all the same words. You can see the similarities of the letters and slightly different handwritten scripts or written scripts. And these have the little vowel sounds plus these other symbols on top, which I think indicate where you put the spoken emphasis when you're reading it.
Amazing,
isn't it? And how this tradition keeps going on, in the face of a lot of opposition, to say the least. Well, I mean, they murdered millions of people for wanting to make those sounds. And it wasn't just once in the course of history. So it makes you kind of wonder what's at play here.
And now there's the Jewish state, and then there's the USA support, and then there's the Arab states around it. So there's the Middle East conflict.
Yeah.
How's that going?
I don't know, but I think everybody's so preoccupied with the COVID, although there are some countries with such huge populations that I guess.
I read that Israel has gotten pretty much everyone vaccinated, well, with the first first stage, and then so when they get the first shot, they immediately get set up with an appointment for 3 weeks later. Well, it depends on which one, Moderna or Pfizer, 3 or 4 weeks.
Well, I think they have a reasonably significant population vaccination, one of the best. But you see, I guess for them it's a matter of survival. If they had all their soldiers, in trouble, they wouldn't be able to defend themselves. The environment is still pretty hostile, so they have to keep order, I guess, in ways that we don't have. We have the luxury of distance between us, whereas they don't have that. But I think they're about 40% vaccinated, and I just saw a news report that they're shipping the vaccines to the West Bank, to the Palestinian Authority, who's starting to vaccinate their citizens as well. But nobody knows where this is going. They didn't tell you which variant of the virus. I assume you had the original one. Do they distinguish that when you go into hospital?
I don't know. I don't know if they are testing for that. What, like, is the regular PCR test designed to distinguish the variants, or maybe they do send the sample for further testing to see if there's a variant to show up? I don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know myself, but
and it was in the US. They had what vaccinated so far a very small percentage. Maybe it's around 5%.
Yeah, but it's much higher than in Canada.
Oh, it's even less in Canada.
Yeah, we're in very bad shape here. We don't have the vaccines because the US doesn't export them.
Oh.
So we have to import them from Europe.
Oh, you have to get one from Europe.
Yeah.
And it's probably in low supply.
Yeah, they had a factory in Belgium which was closed down for retooling or something, and that's put our vaccination schedule back a couple of weeks. And
so
I'm wondering if this closing,
that's probably causing a higher anxiety level in Canadian people.
For sure.
That's why they're figuring out how to keep it out by, like, for what you mentioned, they ordered the closing of cruise businesses
year
until 2022.
Yeah.
Something like June.
Well, they're actually closing it until the end of this year, but after December, there's very few, if any, cruise boats that dock in Canada, until the summer, because it's too cold.
Wow. And then somehow variants are showing up in the US. I don't know which from what the variants are. I've heard that there's one from South Africa, one from this, one from that. I forget the various I guess one from UK. That they've been showing up in the US here and there, somehow getting here. And then I read a report saying that the people who donated blood, I don't know if it was for the Red Cross or whatever, but they checked, they found that they had the coronavirus, and it was blood that was donated back in November. So I didn't hear that. So the coronavirus was around and nobody knew about it as far back as November or even earlier, because if they got the sample or the blood donated in November, it could have been around even earlier, October or whatever. I don't know.
Wow, that's really scary. I know there's a lot of questions now. I've been reading reports about how China had indications of this new virus months before they recognized it. And now that they're going back over some medical records and things, they're starting to see that it existed, and it may have been there for quite a while before it got to be significant enough numbers that it attracted attention.
Mm.
Well, the Minnesota futurists are talking about the future of wireless energy transmission today. That might be an interesting discussion.
Wireless transmission of energy.
Yeah. So imagine if we get electricity without the wires somehow. I don't know how that would work. Sounds really like Star Trek.
Wow. That would be scary that would be rough on the birds, wouldn't it?
I don't know. I don't know how they would react to it. Maybe they'd stop chirping and they just buy Bluetooth speakers. They wouldn't have to chirp anymore. They just turn on their Bluetooth speakers and
chirp longer distances or
that's right.
whisper chirp, so that they don't bother us in the morning. They into their Bluetooth, and they broadcast it to their fellow birds at long distances.
What do they say about the Florida tourist season this year? Is there much talk about it on the local news?
Wow.
You must be down.
Florida tourists, like this year, haven't paid attention to that. Like Florida's tourism and like the theme parks and stuff, and the beaches. Oh wow! And what else? Yeah, there's beaches. There's all kinds of things. Just people from the north, the snowbirds coming down.
But are they still coming down? I thought a lot of them.
Wow. Well, I guess Canada is completely shut out from coming down to Florida.
Yeah.
But what about people in New York?
Yeah.
That like to come down to Florida? Yeah, Winter Park is a nice community just north of Florida, and it's pretty rich, kind of residential area with a nice Rollins College, a small college, but it's expensive. And so I imagine that town, Winter Park, was founded from people in rich people in New York that they wanted to set up a nice place to get away. I don't know. So I was wondering if they have something going on. Maybe there's some I don't know. Well, maybe some people open up their spare bedrooms for people up north to come by, or families. I don't know.
Yeah, but I'm just wondering.
Well, there's
they've always done that.
There's Airbnb, kind of a way to find people to connect with, so you can stay in their homes. Interesting. Yeah, haven't thought about that. Well, wasn't it Yeah, Disney shut down Disney World theme park shut down. What was it, in the middle of March? And I guess all the other theme parks shut down or followed along. And but then when was it? Maybe a few months ago they started opening up gradually. I don't know, limited. I wonder how they're doing now. And I had a friend who worked at Disney, well, at a big hotel inside of Disney, the one that's looks like an A, the letter A, and the monorail goes through it. And she's kind of a cook or a chef there, and made presentations and kind of taught some cooking of vegetables and fruits mostly. And she worked there for decades, and she got laid off. And I don't think she's found any job since, but she kind of maintains herself by renting out rooms in her home, like it's a little house, and she rents out 3 or 4 rooms to like college kids or professionals that just need to have a room, but they have to share the bathroom. But she rents them out for about $500 a month.
Well, that's good. So it gives these people affordable places to stay for while they're studying or whatever.
And it keeps her afloat. Yes, I don't know how Florida is doing. I haven't been paying attention to it.
Yeah, I guess you've been preoccupied. What's your oxygen sat level now?
What is it? Where's my little oximeter? Here it is. Let's see. Does that turn it on? Wait. What? Oh, how's that?
What is it? I can't.
Oh, it turned off. Let's see. No, maybe like this. Wait. I have to put it in front of my face. Ooh, what? Higher. Oh, no. Oh, there. Can you read it?
96?
Yes. Wow.
And you're not wearing your oxygen?
No.
Well, that's good. So exercise your lungs again. Do you have a timer to remind you to do that every 15 minutes or every half hour or something?
Oh, I should do that. Then I go.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yes, when I take a deep breath, I cough.
Yeah, well, that's okay. That's good.
That's good.
You should put a timer on and do, remind you every 15 minutes, every half hour, once an hour, whatever it is, just to exercise your lung, put on the oxygen for a bit. Well, your color's definitely coming back. You look a lot better now than you did over the last couple of weeks. Put on a little makeup and you'll be perfect.
And today, I will walk outside, walk around the neighborhood.
Have you not been doing that?
Yes, but it's been cold, like 60 degrees. Oh my gosh.
60 degrees is nothing. Put on a sweater.
And I carry this wonderful bag with a wonderful tank. Oxygen.
You carry that with you everywhere you go?
And I put it in my nose. And I carry it around my shoulder.
How long do you walk for?
In this last an hour and 20 minutes.
Oh, that's good. And are you building that up a little bit at a time?
And I got plenty. I got 7 left. These are used. I got 7. I want to try to use them as much as. Yeah, I'm gonna try to go outside and walk with it an hour or 2 a day. Try to use them up, so I don't have to return them. I just use them all up, and then I call them. Okay, I'm done with them. You can take them away. I'll call them in 5 days and tell them to take it away. And this is the one that you plug in. It's called an oxygen concentrator. And it's set for 2 liters per minute. O2. It's set for 2. In the hospital, I started out with 15 liters per minute, and they gradually decreased it to like every day or 2. They decreased it like from 15 to 12, and then to 10, and then to 8 and 6. And I left the hospital at 4, and then they immediately told me to put it on 2. So I've been on 2 for 2 weeks, but I'm at the point I don't need it anymore. But I'm gonna keep using it for a few more days. Then I'll call them and tell them to take it away.
Yeah, I think you should keep doing it, but go for a walk every day and set your timer just to remember to exercise your lungs until you do it every hour. And then when you stop coughing, then you can feel better.
Yeah,
maybe in another
week, like 4 times an hour.
Yeah.
See if after a few days I can breathe in deeply without coughing.
Yeah, that'll be your next marker to keep track of how you're doing.
Yes. Yeah, I have a time an alarm clock app, and I could set it up, I think. Well, or maybe I should look for another app that allows timing every 15 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, well, whatever. Just get in a pattern, and then you'll exercise it. Next week we'll find out if you're able to inhale deeply without coughing.
And I leave the window open. Well, maybe some bugs come in, but I leave the window open and this on to have some air coming in.
So where are you now? I don't understand. Are you at your brother's house?
I'm at my brother's house in Longwood, Florida, about 25 minutes away from where I normally live in Lake Mary, Florida.
And that was to allow you to not infect anybody for a while, or how? What was the?
I guess they were afraid that they wanted me quarantined and afraid of me being around my mother and her caregiver, and her caregiver hands are full taking care of my mother, so they had me stay here, and then the people here, my brother and her daughter, could take care of me, bringing me food, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And they would leave it outside the door. I guess they assumed that I could give it to them, but the hospital said that after 2 weeks you can consider yourself COVID free, or at least not likely to spread it. Well, I should probably take the test, or I told them, can I get tested just to have people around me relieved that I don't have it, to test negative. So I'm gonna see if I can schedule that.
Yeah,
Mm.
I think that's a smart idea. First of all, it'll reassure you that you're not doing them any harm, and it'll reassure them. And you've got a piece of paper from an independent lab rather than somebody's opinion or somebody's guess or some secretary that said something offhand and it doesn't have any validity. When you get a copy of a lab test back, it's pretty reliable.
Mm. Yeah. And let's see. Yeah. And yeah, I talked to a nurse yesterday over the phone, and she said, yeah, it sounds like you're okay getting off oxygen, but I'm going to keep using it for a few more days and then call them to have them take it away.
Yeah, don't rush. There's no urgency about getting rid of it. And even if you sleep with it on at night, I don't think you can do yourself any harm by getting a higher dose of oxygen while you're sleeping.
Yes, I think more clearly. I have
Yeah.
I have more lucid dreams.
Yeah. Okay, I'm
Weird
gonna
night.
leave you, Jairo. I'm gonna go to my other Zoom meetings. I'm glad you're getting better.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Does anybody else check in
almost nine.
on any other Zooms?
Does anybody else what?
Did anybody else show up today, or do you go to any other Zooms later?
Yeah, today for this one, just us showed up, and nobody else showed up. And as for other Zoom meetings, today, no, I think I'll just do some work here, try to fix some laptops maybe.
Okay. Well, keep
And
getting better. Set
thank
your
you.
timer once an hour. Exercise your lung once an hour. Blow
I
in.
set it for once every 15 minutes.
Well, however, that'll drive you crazy. You won't have time to finish your first exercise when you have to again. If you do something realistic like once an hour, and then find out when you can breathe in really deeply and go for a walk. It sounds like a good plan.
Yes.
And we'll see if you take your oxygen, if you can beat me at Darwin. That'll be a challenge. Then we'll know whether you've lost your mental fog or not.
Yes.
Take
Okay.
Take care of yourself.
Have a wonderful day at your Zoom meetings.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.